Someone on SaabCentral.com recently had a question about how to change the HID headlights on a Saab 9.3. I did it recently and it's not that hard, so I thought I'd make a video showing how it's done. I'm going to start off with the right headlight, and if you look back in here, it's kind of hard to see, but right in front of the airbox, this is the airbox, right in front of the airbox there's a round thing that just pops right off. It's just a seal, it's a rubber seal that covers the back of the headlight, and that's it right there. Once you've got it off, you can see the silver thing down in here. That is the ballast or the igniter for the HID headlight itself. Now, this is kind of a thing that's done by feel because it's really hard to see, but right up here on the top outside edge, when I say outside I mean towards the fender, on the top outside edge, there's a little wire harness that comes and plugs in, and you can just pull on that, and there it is. I pulled it out. That's the plug that goes into the igniter, or the ballast. And then some people call them igniters, some people call them ballasts. So, and this right here, I'm going to just twist it. Let me see. As you're looking at it from this direction, I'm twisting it. Well, you can see which way I'm twisting it, because whether you're looking at it from the front or the back, it'll be different. But you just twist it about 1/8 of a turn, and then it'll pull right off. And that is the ballast. Okay, to make this easier to see, I removed the airbox because the airbox was in the way. I couldn't get my camera in there. You don't need to do this. You might want to. It makes it a little easier to access, but it's completely unnecessary. And it took me about 2 or 3 minutes. So there's the cable that I pulled off of the ballast, and here's the spring I was talking about. See how it latches in there? When you push it down and up, or you push it right there, it's latched. You push it in and up, or it kind of pops up. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can see what I'm doing. Now that that's come up, I can pull this out and do the same thing over here on this one. There's 2 of these little spring things, and then now that I've got those out, this will just lift right out, and that's the actual HID bulb. And so I just take my new one, I would slide it right back in there, making sure it's all lined up right, and then take that little spring clip and push it in place, and do the same thing with this one, and that's how you replace the bulb. And then the kind of more difficult part that I found, this is especially difficult with the airbox on, because this right here, the igniter, or the ballast, it goes on, and you can see it's even marked there how it twists to put it on. When you put it on and twist it, there's a little mechanism in there that if it's not twisted in place, it prevents this plug from going in. And so what I've had trouble with is getting that plug to go back in after I've taken the igniter off. This time it just slid right in. Sometimes there's a little tab that interferes with the plug, and you just got to fiddle with it, and eventually it'll go right back in. And you got to do it by feel. And that's it. Then the little cover goes back on, and it's all done. Of course, keep in mind, I was doing this with that airbox removed. So the airbox is right there. It was really easy to pull out, but it's completely unnecessary for doing the headlight. And I'll show you how to do the right or the left headlight next. Now, if you actually want to know how to remove the airbox, once you get watch my video on how to remove the air filter to get the cover off. It's pretty simple and it's self-explanatory, but if you don't know how, just watch that video. But then this is the airbox right here, and it is just pretty much press fit in place. There's no screws or anything that hold it in place. What you got to do, there's this little tab that sticks up right here with like a rubber grommet to insulate it from vibrating. And there's another one over here. It's not a tab, it's just a grommet that goes in there. And then these 2 things hold it in place. And also this little sleeve right here, this little rubber air intake holds it in place. So to remove it, what you do, you kind of pull this thing forward and push that little grommet through. It's flexible and all the stuff will just kind of pull right out. But you pull this and get that out of the way, like that. And then now that that's out of the little hole there, you can lift up right here, and that pulls up. And then all that's holding it in place now is this little sleeve that's just a friction fit. And so by kind of pulling on it, I'm trying to do it one-handed here, but by pushing on the hose, there we go. The entire thing will lift right out. And that gives you easy access to the back side of the light bulb. Now to do the left headlight, to do that you got to take off this cover that covers the battery. And to do that, there's really just 2 little clips here. There's one here and one there. And to release those, you just take a flathead screwdriver and give it a quarter turn, and it will pop loose. I've got one missing, and I don't care. But so once you release that little thing pops loose, and then you got this little hose up here, kind of holding it in place. Just pop the hose off and get it out of the way. And then this thing right here, actually got to do that to both of these. And then this thing right here will just kind of lift off. And you got to jiggle it a little bit to get it out of the way. But now you just set it to the side. And then this headlight is harder to get to because it is buried back here behind the fill tube for the washer fluid. But we got to get in there to it. So I'll show you how to do that here in a second. Okay, so this washer fluid fill tube, it's just press fit in place. You can just kind of lift up on it and jiggle, and it'll come off, and then the entire thing comes out. And that gives you easy access, well not easy, but it gives you access to the that same rubber cover that was on the other side. And you can pull that cover off. And once that cover's off, you can access the same ballast, the big square thing, like we had on the other side. And it's just the same as it was on the other side, except there's a little bit less room. You twist it about 1/8 of a turn that direction, pull it straight out, and there's those two spring clips that hold it in place. Then you put everything back in, after you put the bulb in, put everything back together, and that's all there is to it. When you put this rubber cover on, make sure you put it on good. I just noticed that mine wasn't on all the way, which is bad because water splashes up in here, and it can get into the back of that headlight assembly and short something out. Because that's some high voltage stuff in there, and you definitely don't want water getting back in there. But once you get that cover back on, which I'm still having trouble with, once you get that cover back on, there we go. No, I don't. Well, once you get the cover back on, you just take your washer fill tube and line it up and press it back in. There's a little tab here that you can push on. Push it back in place, put the battery cover back on, and you're done.